Stephen here. Happy Saturday evening. I hope we're all well. I think the fire may pick up in a moment. What can you do? It's in the hands of nature, isn't it? Where are we tonight? I wasn't going to put up a video tonight because I haven't been feeling very well. One of the very, very, very few advantages of living a very solitary existence is that you don't tend to pick up on all the bugs and colds, flu, chest infections and whatever that are going around. Just the other day I was thinking it's been years since I had anything like that. Sod's law, today I went shopping yesterday, grocery shopping, and obviously you stand next to the wrong person in the queue for the checkout, you breathe in their germs, and yeah, so today I've been not feeling too great. But here we are. I thought I'd do one anyway because I've been feeling a bit low, what with the illness and one thing and another. I can hardly call this a Fireside Ramble, can I? Believe me, it will burst into fires at one point or another. Any road up. Drinking some of my beloved Abbott Ale. I am smoking a pipe. And that's another thing. Some of you may have wondered, because I went through my dilemma a couple of weeks back, whether I was going to carry on smoking. But what I've actually done, I went through this thing about the beginning of last year, 2017, with the sore mouth, with the smoking and the drinking. And what I did was I found a toothpaste. I did a bit of research online. I found a toothpaste that doesn't contain sodium lauryl sulfate. Sodium lauryl sulfate is in all mainstream off-the-shelf toothpastes. You'll never find one without it unless you search for it. It's a detergent, it's a foaming agent, but it has been clinically proven to irritate the mouth lining on certain people. And I found one that didn't have it in. You have to pay the extra, but I did it. And I stuck with that for a few months, and it really worked. And the only reason I stopped it was because it wasn't getting the old teeth as clean as they used to be. And these are my own teeth. I haven't gone for forces yet. But no, it wasn't getting them as clean as Colgate whitening would do. And so I switched back to the Colgate. But now with this recent, inflammation, problems, one thing and another, I've gone back to this one that's free of the sodium lauryl sulfate, and once again it seems to be doing the trick. So I might have to balance the two. So that's why I am still smoking a pipe and drinking beer at the same time. I'm not smoking a pipe at the moment, but I am going to pick one up. I've bought recently 2 estate pipes off the bay. Here's the first one. I love bent pipes. I'm a big bent pipe person. I'm not really a big fan of straight pipes, billiards, the whole works. But of straight pipes, the pipe that I really do love the most, and I really love the shape, is a poker. And I don't own a poker, or haven't done up until now. The closest I've come is my Missouri Meerschaum Legend, which is not really that close at all. But what I did is I saw this pipe on eBay, and I looked up the bidding history and the listing history, and it had been listed since May of this year, and they dropped the price for the 6 months over and over and over again, and they were open to offers, and I made an offer and they accepted it, and I got it very reasonably. This is an amphora. It's a Dutch pipe. According to Pipedia, they're made by the same company that produces the amphora pipe tobaccos, and they're made to very high quality and are fairly rare. So I was quite pleased to get this. It's barely smoked, if at all. There's no tooth chatter. There is some carbonation in there. I don't know whether that was pre-existing when the pipe was sold as new, or whether someone has smoked it once or twice. But that's a lovely pipe. It's got a vulcanite stem which is oxidised and discoloured, so I'm going to clean that up. The bowl is pretty dirty. I'm going to clean that up too. But I'm really knocked out with that. I got that for about £20 delivered. Very, very pleased with it. Now the other pipe, and this will explain the title of the video. The other pipe is a pipe that I have wanted for a long, long time. And I finally got myself one. So that's the first one. But the film reference is, that's not a pipe. That's a pipe. It is, of course, a Rop Deluxe Cherry Wood. I finally got myself one. I've seen trees smoking these. I saw Cobbett of the Shire smoking one, and I wanted one. I love that. Excuse me, I'll spark up. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh. I'm smoking also from Cobbett of the Shire, HH Pure Virginia. I love this pipe. What staggers me is that this is, well, it's too small to be called a branch, too big to be called a twig, but that is a complete, you can see the bark on it, a shoot off a cherry tree that's just been drilled through, and they put a screw thread on the end and it just screws in with a small stem. I love it. And I got this for about £10, which I don't think is a bad price to pay. I think I've already said what I'm drinking. What I'm listening to is obviously a bit of classical. I've tried to do my less well-known albums. I've mentioned before, I've been checking out in the Creator Studio on YouTube. I keep getting up this blocked in 250 countries, so I haven't decided on one tonight. What I'm listening to is obviously a bit of classical, and this harks back to I watched a week or two ago Clockwork Orange. I went to see Clockwork Orange when it was released about 1969, something like that. That and 2001 A Space Odyssey. I mean, I wasn't a cultured youth, you know, I came from a working class family. But Clockwork Orange and 2001: A Space Odyssey were my exposure to classical music. And I was so knocked out by, certainly by, oh, it's picked up, Clockwork Orange, that I went out and bought this. Now, this is not the official soundtrack album. This is a cheap one, where they take the music that featured in Clockwork Orange, but it's from much, much earlier recordings, and put it on this album. And what I'm listening to is the second side, which is the fourth movement of lovely, lovely Ludwig van's glorious Ninth Symphony, the choral symphony. And it was this, and as I say, 2001, with Richard Strauss and Johann Strauss. That first opened my eyes to classical music. So how are we all doing? I haven't got an awful lot more to say tonight. As I say, I'm not feeling 100%. I have a persistent cough, I've had it for years. And my biggest fear is getting any kind of bronchial infection, because I have enough trouble breathing as it is. So we'll have to wait and see how this bug pans out. What have I been up to? Not an awful lot. It's just me and the boy. He's outside at the moment. Watched the rugby earlier. An incredibly close game between England and Japan. But you can't be an England sports fan without having that clenching feeling in your chest. Fair play to the Japanese, they played well. And this is no not sort of national stereotyping or whatever, but physically speaking, they're smaller than Western Europeans. There's no getting away from it. But they played a blinding game. Other than that, I've just been watching the box, filling the time as best I can. Watched quite a few films recently, because that's mainly, I watch sort of documentaries and films on television. That's really all I need it for. And I watched a couple last night. I watched Legend, which is a film about the Cray twins in England. They were a couple of London gangsters in the 60s, East End gangsters. They couldn't compare with the mafia, you know. This was small scale, but Legend's a pretty good film. Tom Hardy, I think, is a great actor. Did a great performance, playing both the twins, Ronnie and Reggie. I met one of the Cray family once, because back in the early to mid 80s I was working for the benefit system, what you'd call welfare in the States. And my job was going out and visiting people in their homes and doing a review of their circumstances. And one day I had to go and visit this guy whose surname was Cray, because my visiting area covered the East End, and he was Ronnie and Reggie's nephew. His dad was Charlie Cray, who was the Cray twins' older brother. The guy was a nervous wreck. it sort of harks back to that whole gunfighter thing. The worst thing to be was someone that was a famous gunfighter, because everyone would be out to get you. And with a certain like Cray in the East End, everyone wanted to make a name for themselves by, you know, doing over one of the Cray family. So this guy was virtually housebound. I remember being very dark in his place. As part of the review, I had to ask him what his dad's address was, because he had his dad named as his next of kin. He said, my dad doesn't like me giving out his address to people. I didn't push it. After that, I watched a film called, I think it was called, it's a fairly recent film called Hell and High Water. Jeff Bridges, is it Chris Pine? I don't know. I'm not up to speed on the latest actors, you know, the modern actors. But it was a very, very, very good film. I enjoyed it. And tonight I'm recording on the old TiVo box, at the moment, The African Queen. So I'm going to enjoy watching that. Humphrey Bogart, fantastic actor. And Katharine Hepburn too, of course. And after that, I'm also recording the original Get Carter with Michael Caine. That is, I haven't got it on. I had it on earlier. You're a big man, but you're out of shape. That's a great film. In he rode up. It says nearly 18 minutes on there, but I think I let it run for a bit beforehand. So I'm going to wish you all well. And I'm going to go away and continue smoking this while I watch a film. It's a beautiful pipe. I've smoked it a lot. But the thing is, the chamber is enormous. That's an hour and a half smoke. And having said that, I've just remembered what it was that I was going to actually talk about tonight. But now it's gone too far, so I'm going to leave it and save it for the next one. So it only remains for me to say, I hope you have a fantastic Saturday evening. It's all going up there, you know. And I hope to speak to you again soon. And keep them smoking. Cheers all. Take care everyone, and I'll speak to you again soon. Ta-da!